What's up, gamers? I'm officially back with a brand new video because I had an epiphany this morning and it made me realize I needed to make this video immediately. And that video idea was to do a different ranker video, as you might have seen from my previous one, where I rank different relationships that we see in animation and anime that are LGBT+. And I had the epiphany that I need to do a similar video, but instead of LGBT relationships, to do different fathers and father figures that we see in animation, because guess what? Father's Day is around the corner, and I wanted to get into the cosplay aspect of it as well by cosplaying a very popular, well-known animated dad. So of course I picked Hugh Neutron from Jimmy Neutron, OG Young Sheldon. Second of all, that guy's a fucking wimp, and he pulled the biggest baddie wife I have ever seen. But of course, I had to do her loser husband because I support any kind of wimpy, pathetic man who's obsessed with wooden ducks and has a hot wife, okay? I will be getting into cosplay shortly, so for right now, chat, be honest with me right now. Is it giving Wallace?
Can't stand the stuff.
Not even Wensleydale?
Hello there, Jimbos. I am officially back in the Father's Day outfit of the century. Whoa there, I almost landed on a banana.
Once when I was 7 years old, I sat on a banana. And of course, that changed my life.
Officially in Hugh Neutron. So of course I have to do the fit check. Alright, Jimbos, so I am going to be using a tier maker that I have not made myself, and it is by a creator called @LittleNastyMan. So thank you, @LittleNastyMan, for making this wonderful 18+ Dilf generator. And I will be putting the link that I'm using today in the description of this video if any of you guys would like to take the Dilf test yourself. Alright, and for this video today, I will be categorizing these characters into 5 categories on this tier maker. Number 1 is going to be an absolute Dilf. These are characters that I'd be sweating a little if I see them shopping at the supermarket. But I'm also categorizing in superior that they're also a good father. But I'm not going to go heavily on it, but I am going to implement that category as well. But number 1 factor is their hotness level. And number 2 is more so I love them more like a father figure than I do for a Dilf. I don't think they're ugly. I'm more neutral on their looks. I just care more about how they treat their son or their daughter or etc. The third category is just for characters that are only a Dilf. Not a good father figure. They just got their looks going on for them. I wouldn't want them to be my dad. But I do want them to be my— no, I'm not finished. Tier number 4 is just neutral. I don't have a big opinion on them. I'm probably just going to skip the ones I don't know super well just to shorten the video time. And the final category is going to be Screw This Bozo, which is a character that is clearly an awful character, not a good father. They don't even have to be necessarily ugly. I just care more about how much they suck as a character. Like, I would not want them to be my father. By all means, let's get into the video. Number 1, we got the Count from Hotel Transylvania, and he got some quirky dance moves we've seen in all of the films. So I don't personally think this man is like hot by any means, but I definitely don't think he's ugly either. So I don't think he's an awful father though. I think he's a wonderful father to Mavis, even if he is overprotective to her. So for him, I'm gonna put him in. I love him more as a dad than a Dilf because I truly do think he is a wonderful father, and I love the movies. Next, we have the dad from Moana. Let me just adjust my glasses here. Absolute Dilf. I don't think he's a bad father in terms of his story. You find out that he's very overprotective of Moana because a friend of his actually died because of him. So for his reasons to be overprotective because he doesn't want anything similar to happen to his daughter is completely understandable. And they, you know, repatch their relationship together, which I hope we see a little bit more of in the sequel coming up. Absolute Dilf and a great father because, I mean, look at him. I will let a lot of you guys know off the bat in the beginning of this video that there are a lot of characters in here. I don't exactly remember their first name, so it's not that I don't care to refer to them as their first name. I'm just gonna call him Blank's dad because that's the best way I can remember them. Next one we have is going to be Mulan's father from Mulan. Now, I don't personally find him like attractive to be a Dilf or anything like that, but I definitely think that he's a wonderful father to Mulan, and I feel like their relationship, especially when they have that speech together under the cherry blossom tree, I just think it's like the most beautiful thing ever. Personally think that they're probably probably one of my favorite dynamics between a father and a daughter. I love him more as a dad than a Dilf. Now, next up, we got Mr. Motherfucking Krabs. So, this man is clearly a crustacean, so I don't have romantic feelings towards him, so I'm not gonna put him in any Dilf categories. And in terms of being a father to Pearl, leaves a lot of unanswered questions in the SpongeBob universe because she is a motherfucking whale. So, what happened there? Did he have a whale wife? Or did he just adopt a whale daughter? I want to know what the fuck happened. I don't think he's a bad father to Pearl. I definitely think that he's bad with his money, but he's never bad about his love for his daughter. So for him, I'm going to put, I love him more as a dad than a Dilf. Next up, we have Iroh, aka Uncle Iroh, from the Avatar Last Airbender series. Now, we know that he is actually a father because unfortunately he had a son and he died in the war. So Zuko becoming closer to him in the series definitely became more of a fatherly and son bond, even though they are uncle and nephew. I'm so normal about them. Obviously, we can establish that Iroh is a wonderful father figure to both men in his life. Secondly, for the attractiveness factor, I mean, he's an old man, like, why would I put him in here? Do y'all remember the scene in the jail cell? Y'all remember? I'm sorry, absolute Dilf. Next question. All right, next up we have Santa from the Rise of the Guardians film. I think he goes by a different name. We're not gonna deny he is a hot man. Wait, why is he in here? He's not a dad. Is he? In this specific scenario, I'm gonna put Santa Claus in just only a Dilf because, I mean, I don't really consider him as, like, a father. Oh, he's Father fucking Christmas. Holy shit. Anyway, Father Christmas is going into only a Dilf. Next up, we have Gru from Despicable Me. And I'll save you all that impression once again. I definitely do think that Gru is a great father to his 3 adopted children. I definitely think that movie stings my heart every time I watch it. I'm not a huge fan of the sequels, but I'm a huge fan of the first one. So I don't think he's attractive. I mean, look at him. He looks like a snowman if a snowman was a person. I'm gonna put him in, I love him more as a dad than a Dilf. Sorry! Next up, we have the dad in Fairly Odd Parents, who is actually just known as Dad because every time they try to tell us his real name, a bunch of sounds go over it. I definitely think this guy's hilarious, but he's an awful father.
Sorry, Dad.
Oh, don't worry about it, Timmy. My dreams were shattered years ago.
How many years ago?
How old are you?
And I will die on this hill. The reason that Timmy needs these fairies to begin with is because he's being abandoned as a child by his parents all the time. They never take care of him, they never spend time with him, and they just avoid him at all costs, even when they're together. Don't think he's hot. I think he's a bozo. I've met the man before. Next up, we have the dad from Tarzan? This man is hot. I unfortunately cannot give a vouch if he would be a good father because, you know, clearly he doesn't get the time to raise Tarzan. But I'm gonna still put him in absolute Dilf and great father because we never find out, so there's no reason to say no. Next up, we have the dad in Bambi, aka the buck that is the prince of the forest. And, I like princes. I think they're a deer to be around, so, I think I'm gonna put him in Dilf. Are y'all surprised? Next contestant on Is This Character a Good Father has brought an anger inside of me, and it's the chicken dad from Chicken Little. Whew, sorry about that, friends. And I understand why their relationship is as awkward as it is because they state in the movie that the mother was better with handling the son. Clearly great. And then we have this fucking chicken right here. Send him to KFC, friends. I don't want to see him. I don't even want to taste him. Can we all agree? Absolute bozo. Towards the end of the film, I don't even know if he really, like, cares about his son as much as he's just like, okay, you're a little weird. Anyways. Alright, next up we have the father from Powerpuff Girls. Now, I think he's a great dad off the bat. He loves his girls. He's a girl dad. And we love girl dads in this household. I think he's a great father figure alone. And in terms of attractiveness level, I don't think his, like, animation style makes him attractive, but his energy definitely makes him attractive to me. So I'm gonna put him on, I love him more of as a dad than as a Dilf, but I'm not calling him ugly or anything like that, but I definitely like him more as a father of anything else. Next up, we have the father from the Princess and the Frog film. Now, he unfortunately passes away in the film, which is an important, like, boost for Tiana to really get that restaurant going, because it's her dream alongside her father's dream. And I definitely think he's a great character from the snippets that we have seen of him from the movie, and I think, you know, he clearly had a huge impact on Tiana as a character. For that reason alone, he definitely is a great father figure, and I think he's fine, so I'm gonna put him in absolute Dilf and great father. Next, we have Manny the Mammoth from the Ice Age films.
She's a mammoth, of course. And
I cannot stand this fucking guy. I feel bad for what happened with his first family because they passed away, and he forms a new family in the other films as well, but the way that he raises his daughter, I don't personally care for. I don't think he's a bad dad, but I definitely think he's, like, overbearing in an annoying way. Really a huge fan of it, so I'm just going to put him in neutral just because I don't really like him, but I don't think he's an awful person, but I cannot stand Manny the Mammoth. I think he's so annoying. Alright, next we have Miss O'Malley the alley cat. Now, like, okay, I know he's a fucking cat, right, y'all? Okay, right? Think of him as a father, okay? Especially because as soon as he met Duchess and he was like, oh, hey, girly, and then found out that she had 3 kittens, he was startled, and he had a right to be. But then he stepped the fuck up to help them and then fell in love with all 3 of them, and then they became a wonderful, happy family ever since then. Absolute great father figure, 100%. Now, in terms of attractiveness level, I'm putting him in Dilf! I don't care. I don't care what y'all say. I'm putting this fucking cat in Dilf and great father figure because he hits all the checks. Next up, we have Aladdin's father from the Aladdin King of Thieves sequel. Now, this is the 3rd installment of the Aladdin films, and I personally love it the most. It's my absolute favorite. I watched it so much on VHS. It's about Aladdin's backstory and how his father abandoned him when he was like about 8 years old and realizes that his father is still alive and he became the King of Thieves. So he is a great character in terms of being, like, you know, a really cool guy, but I definitely don't think he's a great father. I don't think he's a bad person, but I think he is a bad father, unfortunately. But, like, he's also super hot. So I'm gonna put him in only a Dilf just because I don't really support the way he went about raising Aladdin, which is by not raising Aladdin. Next up, we have Bob, aka Mr. Incredible from the Incredibles franchises. Now, I don't personally find this man attractive. I know a lot of people do. I personally don't. So that's already off the bat for me, but I definitely think that he is a good dad. I don't think he's a bad dad, and I don't think he's a wonderful dad. I think he's very neutral for me, so I'm gonna be putting Mr. Incredible in Mr. Neutral. And I'm Mr. Neutron. I'll shut the fuck up. Alright, this next character that came up, somebody better match my freak. Here's the character that we're dealing with here. So of course I'm gonna put him in absolute Dilf and great father, okay? I'm sorry, but, like, there's something about him. He's voiced by the same person who does Darth Vader. Energy is immaculate. He could trample me like a pack of wildebeests and I'd be fine with it, okay? Rest in peace, King. Rest in peace. Speaking of Mufasa, I have to include Scar in here because he is the father of Kovu, even though they are never in a scene together. But he is canonized as the father of Kovu. And if Kovu was in this list, completely different game. I don't think Scar is personally attractive. His voice is 100% attractive, so that does add a factor to it. And I definitely don't think he'd be a good father, even if they did have scenes together. I'm gonna put him in neutral, but I had to include him because it would be wrong if I didn't. Next up, we have Mr. Ping from the Kung Fu Panda movies. Now, I love him so much. He's my absolute favorite character in all of the films. I think he's honestly one of the best dad characters that we're going to see in this entire list, so I'm going to clearly put him in a good fatherly position, but I definitely don't think he's, like, hot or anything like that for being a duck. So I'm going to put him in I love him more as a dad than a Dilf, but nothing but respect for Mr. Ping. I think he's a wonderful father to Poe, and I wouldn't want anyone else to be his father. Next up, we have the dad from Dexter's Laboratory. Now, I'll be completely honest, I do not remember him personally that well because I spent most of my time thinking about the mom, and I think it's very similar in the sense of Jimmy Neutron as well. Like, you just got a beautiful wife and then a pathetic loser husband, okay? So I'm gonna put this guy in Screw This Bozo. Off of no factual information, I don't want him to be anywhere else. Next up, we have the dad in Frozen. Off the bat, this man is a Dilf and is fine. I think he's great. I don't really know if he's considered a great father because he dies. So we don't really get to see him apart from trying to help Elsa contain her powers. I don't personally think he is a great father in the sense of what we've seen. Like, I'm just gonna say he's just only a DILF, because just there's not enough content where we actually see him as a father. Next up, we have Miles, aka Spider-Man's dad in the Into the Spider-Verse movies. Now, I think he's a wonderful father, like, no doubt about it. If you've seen the film, then you can tell he clearly cares about Miles and his family. 100%, I think he's a great father. And in terms of attractiveness level, I have to put him in DILF. He's an absolute DILF. He's a great father. He got big biceps, and he takes care of his family, and he provides for his family 100%. Next up, we have Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz from the Phineas and Ferb series. Now, I love this man so much. I think he's a wonderful father to Vanessa. Regardless of being a villain, he is a wonderful father to her because he gave her the childhood that he never had. And so he has to be an absolute great father. I love him more as a father than as a DILF because I don't find him attractive, but I love that man to shreds, and he's up there with Mr. Ping. Next up, we have King Triton from the Little Mermaid movie franchises. Now, I love this man. He definitely has a learning curve about fatherhood when he is dealing with Ariel in the first film, but he definitely comes around towards the end, and I think he's really great in the sequels as well. I think he's a great father. No, he really did learn to become a better man in that sense, and he's hot. Where's my Becky? DILF check. So, I'm gonna put him in absolute DILF and great father, okay? Okay! Next, we have Greg Universe from, you guessed it, Steven Universe. Now, I think he's a fun character. I definitely think he has a lot of layers to him. I definitely think he needs to learn more about being a father a little bit, but I definitely think he's super soft and super nice with Steven, and they have such a wonderful dynamic together. So, I definitely think he's a good dad. I don't think he's an awful dad, and I don't think he's a wonderful dad, but I definitely think he's a good dad. So, I'm just gonna put him in neutral, because I don't think he's attractive, but I do think he's a good guy. Somebody once told me that people find Shrek sexy. How do I find Shrek Shreksy? No, but I do think he's a little Shreksy when he's human in the second film. Does that make me conceited in vain? I don't know. In terms of being a father, I definitely think it is a very controversial topic, because in the third film, he's super anxious when Fiona tells him he's pregnant, which is a valid response, but he definitely comes to terms with accepting being a father towards the end. So they definitely got over that curve, and they live happy as a family, right? No, because in the fourth movie, Shrek is miserable at the birthday party for his triplets that he literally leaves, goes into the back alley, and then Rumpelstiltskin comes over and offers him a magic solution to have a day, and that causes a whole situation that makes him not exist to his family anymore, and it creates a whole different universe. Oh, Shrek was just stressed because this was a life he never thought he would have. Oh no, Shrek was just getting a breath of fresh air. He doesn't want to leave his family. Yes, he did. Yes, he thought it was only for a day. He still left at his child's birthday party. I don't think he's a great father now because of it. If you were asking me about the third movie, yes. But in terms of the entire fourth movie, no. So sorry, guys, but I have to put Shrek in Screw This Bozo only on the mentality where I don't think he's attractive, so he already cancels out the DILF factor, but I don't really think he's a good dad either, and that's all the criteria needed for Screw This Bozo. So I love Shrek as a character. He has to go in that category by default. I'm sorry. Next up, we have Goofy from the Mickey and Friends franchises. Now, if you've seen any of my videos, then you have to know that I love Goofy. I think he's a wonderful father to Max, so there's no question that I'm gonna put him in great father figure because, you know, Goofy being the character that he is, built around humor, he really does step up as a dad and takes care of Max in such a way that's so soft and so sweet, and he cares so much about that boy. I don't think he's a DILF, but I definitely think he's a great father, so I'm gonna put him in. I love him more of a dad than a DILF, but we love Goofy, period. Now, if you have a character like Iroh, you have to have the actual father of Zuko, which is Emperor Ozai. Not a good person, he's not a good father, you know, he gives the scar that Zuko has on his eye, so he's not a great person. So I'm definitely not going to put him in a great father figure, but I mean, he kind of fine. If you're asking me how I feel about Emperor Ozai, I would say screw that guy, but if you're asking me if I find him attractive, I might blush a little bit, okay? I'm just going to put him in only a DILF. And if you guys go in the comments, but Ozai did this and this and this and this to Zuko, I know, but he's kind of fine. Next up, we have Bowser from the Super Mario Bros. Franchises. Now, he is a father to Bowser Jr., if you did not know, and we don't know exactly who his mother is, correct me if I'm wrong. Super Mario Sunshine, it is very adamant that Bowser wants Peach to be his wife and the mother to Bowser Jr. Bowser definitely does brainwash Bowser Jr. into thinking of that possibility because he truly wants to be with Peach and he truly wants Bowser Jr. to have a motherly figure in his life. I don't think he's a terrible person, but he's definitely deluded into thinking it will all happen. It makes me kind of sad now that I think about it. I don't think he's a bad father. I don't think he's father of the year, but I don't think he's a bad dad either. And in terms of attractiveness level, Next up, we have Grunkle Stan from the Gravity Falls series. Now, we never see the Pine twins' actual parents, but clearly Grunkle Stan is an important parental figure in their lives during the series. So I definitely think that he has a learning curve to get over as well in terms of taking care of people other than himself. I don't personally think he's a Dilf. I know there's a whole community of people that do. I'm sorry, I'm not one of those people, but I definitely love him more as a dad than a Dilf. Next up, we have freaking Marceline's dad from Adventure Time. This man is a bozo. He treats her like trash, doesn't respect her. I don't like this man. He's not a good father. He's not attractive to me. Absolute bozo. Now, Martin, aka Finn's father, is not in this list, but he's in the same placement too. Next up, we have the dad from Inside Out. Now, I personally have not watched this movie often, but I definitely think the dad, he got something going on for me. I don't know what to say. I don't know if he's a great father from what I remember, but I don't care. I'm gonna put him in there because I feel like it. Next up, we have Zeus from the Hercules movie. Now, I love Greek mythology a lot, and I definitely think their version of Zeus is a great adaptation of the man, the myth, the legend. And if you know anything about Greek mythology, you know Zeus has had a lot of kids together, so Hercules is not the only kid he has. So, in a world full of fuckboys, Zeus is definitely the fuck father. In terms of the Hercules movie alone, being a dad to just Hercules, I don't think he's a bad dad. I definitely consider the people who raised him on the farm a lot bigger of a parental role in his life, but I do think that Zeus is hot. I'm gonna put him in neutral. I can't make up my mind. I definitely think he's attractive. I don't really know if he's a wonderful father because, like, you know, there's just that little part in my brain that's like, it's Zeus we're talking about here. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Where should Zeus be in this list? And then we have Hugh Neutron, aka who I'm cosplaying right now. Now, I don't think he's gonna win Father of the Year, but I also don't think he's a bad father either. So I definitely think that he should be placed in a neutral ground because I don't find him attractive, but I don't find him ugly, and I don't think he's an awful father. And that concludes the end of my video on ranking different fatherly characters. Now, there's a lot of other characters that's in the link if you guys would like to try it out for yourself. I just didn't know every single character in there, so I didn't want to rank blindly. And if there's any characters that you want to see me personally rank that isn't a part of the link or wasn't a part of the video, then I'm happy to answer them in the comment section as well, because, you know, there's a countless amount of dads out there that need to be ranked and need to be judged. That's the end of the video. Thank you so much for staying till the end of the video. I love you and I salute you. Until next time. Ah! You can say Happy Father's Day to me as well because I am a father of a beautiful